So this is the exam one. It contains the 50 questions. I'm taking this in a practice mode. Let's try to solve it within an hour and give a proper reasoning for each of the questions and also see the reasons shared in this course itself. So let's begin the test. Okay. A creative writer is using a generative AI model to help brainstorm story ideas. They want the model to produce highly imaginative and conventional suggestions, even if some are a bit random or unexpected. Which sampling parameter they adjust to encourage this type of creative and diverse output from the model? So, Google AI Studio has a parameter or feature called temperature. If we increase the temperature, the model tends to take more risk and be more creative and riskier in terms of generating the text. Since they want the model to produce highly imaginative and unconventional suggestions, we might have to increase the temperature. Let's check the answer. So it's the correct one, and the proper reasoning is a higher temperature, example greater than 0.7 1.0, encourages the model to take more risk, explore less likely the word choices, and thus generate more diverse, creative, and sometimes surprising outputs. So, this is good. Let's move on to the next question. A healthcare organization wants to use generative AI to analyze physicians' notes from patients' consultations to identify potential trends in reported symptoms. These notes are free from text, varying greatly in length and style and content for each patient visit. What type of data this physician notes primarily considered? Okay, so since it's a free form text varying greatly, so it's an unstructured data. It's not labeled, it's not structured, and it's not a time based data. It's a free text, so unstructured data. This is the correct. Let's see the explanation. The physical notes being free form text without a predefined format are a classic example of unstructured data. So we have several definitions of structured data. That is, a structured data is mostly an organized data. Quality data that is accurate, complete, consistent, and relevant. Let's move on to the next question. A marketing agency is tasked with creating a series of visually striking and unique images for a new advertising campaign based on the textual concept provided by the client. They need an AI model that excels at generating the high quality photorealistic or artistic images from text prompts, offering control over style and composition. Which Google Foundation model? So we would need a diffusion model that is highly effective in creating a high quality images from text, and for Google is Imagen is the diffusion model. So the right answer would be Imagen. And the description says the same about it. Let's move on to the next question. An AI is being trained to play a complex board game. The AI learns by making moves in the game, and after each game or series, it receives a signal indicating whether it won or lost. The AI's goal is to learn a strategy that maximizes the chance of winning over time. Which machine learning approach is primarily being used here? So, since the AI is learning from a signal, so it's receiving a kind of feedback. So I think it's a reinforcement learning. Since in reinforcement learning, the model learns from the feedback that it receives from the environment, and unsupervised learning is basically on unstructured data. Supervised learning is on the label data, and multimodal learning involves multiple modals. uh, so let's check the answer. So reinforcement learning is correct. If we go the look at the description. So ML has three primary learning approach: supervised learning train models on labeled data, unsupervised learning uses unlabeled data to find the natural groupings and patterns, and reinforcement learning is the only learning that learns through the interaction and feedback to maximize the rewards. Let's quickly move to the next question. A marketing professional frequently needs to draft various type of content, from blog post and social media updates to email campaign. They are looking for a personal AI assistant that can help them brainstorm ideas, generate initial draft, and even summarize research articles. They value the ability to customize the AI's behavior for specific recurring tasks, which Google Cloud offering is designed for personal productivity. So since they need a personal AI assistant, so Gemini is the personal AI assistant, and it's mostly for personal use. So I think a Gemini app, and within Gemini app there is a feature called James. James is like a personal assistant within Gemini app, which can remember the prompts and personalize the Gemini's response for this specific user. And yeah, this is the correct answer. Let's look at the James as well, if it talks something about the James. So James are the personalized AI assistant within Gemini. They provide the personalized responses tailored to specific instruction. They also streamline workflows like templates, prompts, and guided interaction. So this looks nice. Let's move on to the next question. A team is working with a large language model to generate marketing slogans. However, they find that writing a slogan yields generic results. However, they when they ask, write catchy and memorable slogan for eco-friendly coffee brand that emphasizes its Rainforest Alliance certification and smooth taste, targeting youth, urban professionals. The quality and relevance of the slogans improve dramatically. The practice of carefully crafting the input to the LLM to achieve better output is known as. So here the team is using a better prompt to get a better output for their marketing slogan. So it's definitely a prompt engineering, and the practice of carefully crafting the input that is given to the LLM to achieve a better output is known as prompt engineering, as the explanation also says. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. The company has built a customer support chatbot using a large language model. While the LLM is good at general conversation, it often describes or provides generic answers or fails to answer questions about the company's very specific and newly updated product specification. The company has an extensive, up to date knowledge base containing all product details. How could RAG primarily help improve the chatbot responses? So the model is failing to provide often provide generic answer or fail to answer question about the newly updated product specification. That means the model is not up to date. So the correct answer would be, so the very first option is by increasing the LLM's context window size. So context window size is not at all relevant in this question, because model is outdated, and it needs some kind of training, and training can be done through RAG. Retrieval augmented generation hooks up the model with the relevant company's private data so that it can learn and train on it. So I think the option would be third, the by enabling the LLM to access and incorporate information from the company specific knowledge base before generating an answer. Let's see if it's a right answer. Yeah, it's a right answer. And RAG enhances the LLM responses by allowing the model to retrieve the relevant information from an external knowledge source. In this case, it would be company's product knowledge base. So yeah, let's move to the next question. A large enterprise is looking to adapt generative AI across multiple departments. They are concerned about establishing a consistent governance model for AI security, managing risk, and ensuring their AI deployments align with the industry best practices and regulatory requirements. Which Google Cloud offerings or framework is specifically designed to help organizations address this AI security governance risk management policies? I think we looked that Google have something called Google Secure AI Framework for their Gen AI offerings, which pretty much which manages the AI security and risk. Uh, so this should be the answer, and yeah, it's correct. So SAIF is a Google's comprehensive framework specifically designed to help organizations manage AI security governance and risk management throughout the entire AI lifecycle. Secures infrastructure, data protection and privacy, model security and integrity, even security layers at deployment and monitoring. This is nice. Thanks. Move to the next question. Question number 9. A technology company prides itself on the being at the forefront of innovation when choosing a cloud provider for generative AI initiatives. They prioritize a partner that not only offers robust current solutions but also demonstrate a deep commitment to ongoing research and development, ensuring access to the latest advancements in AI. What characteristics of Google Cloud best aligns with this priority? So the company is at forefront of innovation, and they prioritize a partner who demonstrate a deep commitment to the ongoing research and development. So I think the answer would be Google's AI's first approach and continuous investment in AI research and innovation, since they need someone who has deep commitment to the ongoing research and development, and Google's AI first approach definitely aligns with them. Google Cloud's broad portfolio, extensive global data, flexible PSU code doesn't align with the company's thought process as mentioned in this question number 9. So Google say this should be the right answer. Let's check the answer, and it's correct. Google's AI first philosophy and its significant ongoing investment in AI research ensure that its cloud offerings continuously incorporate cutting edge AI advancements. So this is correct. Let's move to the next question. Okay, so a user interacts with a mobile app that allows them to upload a photo of their living room, and using a generative AI see different interior designs in real time in context of the generative AI landscape. What does this mobile app primarily present? So there are four options. The answer is the application layer. So the since mobile app is being used by a user, it would be an application layer. Rest of the option is like model is the gen AI models that access the large amount of data and get trained. Infrastructure is which powers this model for the storage of data, for computing of data. Platform is like uh, exposing an API to talk to these models, and none of them aligns. Application is the right answer. Let's check the answer, and application layer is the user facing part of the generative AI. The mobile app described it's a direct interface for the end user to interact with and benefit from the generative AI technology. Right. Next, move to the next question. A retail company is considering developing a generative AI solution to create a personalized marketing email campaigns. Before committing significant resources, the leadership team wants to understand the critical elements that will shape the project. Which of the following would be considered as a key business requirement influencing the Gen AI needs for project? I think here business is more concerned about the business outcome once they adopt to Gen AI. So, which of the following would be considered as a key business requirement or the key business outcome is the desired click through rate improvement for their email campaigns? Uh, let's check the answer and explanation. So, the desired click through rate improvement is a business outcome and therefore a business requirement that will guide the development and success metrics of the Gen AI solution. Right, next question. So, a company develops a generative AI tool to help recruiters screen resumes and identify promising candidates. After deployment, an audit reveals that the tool disproportionately flags candidates from certain demographic group as less suitable. Even their qualification are comparable to others. The training data primarily consists of historical hiring data from an industry known for underrepresentation of these groups. So model is not enough trained on the correct set of data, and the model is biased in terms of picking the candidates. So the answer would be bias in the training data leading to an unfair AI model. So the foundational models have certain outcomes because the foundational models have certain limitations, and few of the limitations are like knowledge cutoff and fairness, etc. So bias is also is one of the limitations in the foundation models, and this should be the answer. Let's check the answer, and it is correct. In the training data reflects the historical biases like underrepresentation of certain groups. The AI model is likely to learn and perpetuate these biases, leading to the unfair outcomes. Let's move to the next question. A generative AI agent is designed to help users plan trips, to provide accurate flight information and book accommodations. The agent needs to interact with the external airline and hotel booking systems via their API. So they need an agent that can interact with the external system. So in context of the Gen AI agent tooling, which capability allows the agent to connect? So it's the extensions or functions for calling the external APIs, and it's pretty straightforward. Rest of the things are related to Gen AI, but the extension or function is the answer. Let's check the answer and the reasoning as well. Are common tooling component that enable generative AI agents to interact with the external system such as calling APIs. All right, let's move to the next question. Question number 14. A small business owner with the limited technical expertise wants to build a simple chatbot for their website to answer frequently questions. They are looking for a solution that doesn't require extensive coding knowledge and allows them to leverage existing AI capabilities. Which aspect of the Google Cloud platform would be beneficial for the business owners? So the business wants to build a simple chatbot and it doesn't require extensive coding. The Google itself has the low code offerings or no code tools readily available APIs for pre-trained models. So let's read through the next the options that we have. The comprehensive ML ops, Vertex AI model, access to raw. So none of them aligns with the questions requirement. Only the low code tools, and this should be the answer. Let's check the answer. Right, let's this is correct. So far we are at 14 questions. Let's move to the next question. So a company uses a foundation model to generate summaries of news articles. What are the common limitations of the models most likely causing the issues? So what is the issue? The summary sometimes miss key development or include outdated information. So it's this hallucination, data dependency, bias, knowledge cutoff are the common limitations. But in here, the specific answer is knowledge cutoff, because model is not up to date with the information. Let's check the answer, and it's correct. Cutoff, which is the point in time when its training data ends. Let's move to the next question. A large financial institution is planning to adopt generative AI for various internal processes, including sensitive data analysis and customer interaction. Their primary concern is ensuring that the AI platform they choose adheres to strict security protocols, offers robust data privacy controls, and can reliably handle fluctuating workloads. What aspect of the Google Cloud AI platform directly addresses this enterprise needs? So their primary concern is security protocols, robust data privacy. All right, if we look at the, I think Google Cloud's AI platform is enterprise-ready features, and it contains features like security, privacy, and scalability. So I think this is the Google's agenda that aligns with the question. Let's check it as the answer, and it's correct. Let's move to the next question. A developer in the beginning to explore the generative AI capabilities for new project, they want to quickly experiment with the prompting Google's latest foundation models like Gemini without needing to set up full cloud environment or incur significant cost initially. Their primary goal is rapidly prototyping and understanding the model behavior with different inputs. Which Google Cloud tool would be most appropriate tool for initial cost-effective experimentation and prototyping phase? I think since they are in the prototyping phase, they can rely on the Google AI Studio, which is a free version, and is good for prototyping. You can prompt and see how the model uh, responds to your queries. So for prototyping phase, I think Google AI Studio. Let's check the answer, and it's correct. It's good for experimenting with the generative AI models like Gemini. All right, let's move to the next question. A developer is interacting with the large language model to classify customer feedback into positive, negative, or neutral sentiment. So a developer is training an LLM to classify the customer feedback, and it's using a prompt: classify the sentiment of the following customer reviews. The product is amazing. So review 1, review 2, review 3. So multiple prompts has been shared. So which prompt technique? So there are several prompting techniques. One of the prompt techniques is zero shot prompting, where no explanation is provided. No explanation is provided, and the model is directly asked questions. In few short prompting, multiple examples are provided, and in role prompting, a persona is being fed to the model so that it can answer as per that persona. But here it seems like multiple prompts have been shared, so it seems like a prompt chaining. So it's few short prompting. The developer is providing multiple examples, three in this case, of the task sentiment classification within the prompt to guide the LLM. So this is a few short prompting. In case of prompt chaining, engage in a back and forth conversation with the AI. So here, since it's only sharing and prompts and it's a multiple prompts, it would be few short prompting. All right, let's move to the next question. A software company has launched a new generative AI powered feature that helps users write more code efficiently. To demonstrate the value of this feature to stakeholders, the product manager needs to quantify its impact. Which of the following would be the most direct and relevant metric to measure the success of the specific generative AI initiative? So, a software company has launched a new Gen AI powered feature that helps users write code more efficiently. And from the product manager perspective, I think the average time developers spend, the reduction in the average time taken by the developers to complete the coding task, the number of lines, I think, yeah. So it has improved the productivity of the developers. That would be uh, metric to measure the success. That should be the answer, and it's correct. Let's move to the next question. A company has deployed a generative AI model that provides real-time product recommendation on its e-commerce website. Over time, they noticed that the quality of recommendation seems to be degrading, and customer click-through rates on these recommendations are declining. The underlying customer preferences and product catalogs have evolved since the model was initially trained. Which Google recommended practice is crucial for detecting and addressing this kind of performance degradation? I think it would be performance tracking and drift monitoring. Rest of the other options doesn't aligns with the question's requirement, where uh, they want to better the generative AI model, and enabling an A/B testing would not help. A product catalog refreshing recommendation logic manually would not help. Periodically model retraining would also not help. Here, the more concern is for detecting and addressing and not improving at this point. Hence, a continuous performance tracking and drift monitoring should be the answer, and it's correct. Let's move to the next question. A retail company has a large data set of customer purchase history and product information. They want to train a custom machine learning model to predict which products a customer is most likely to purchase next. But the data science team has a limited experience with the complex model development. They need a solution on Google Cloud that can automate much of the model building process, allowing them to create a high quality custom build with a minimal manual intervention. So they want to automate their model building process. I think in the Vertex AI platform we have AutoML, which can automate that their model training and model deployment. So AutoML would be the answer. Model garden contains mostly it's like a storage of different types of model. Vertex AI wizard for hyperparameter tuning. Yeah, as the name suggests, Vertex AI search is to enable the enterprise grade search within the GNAI offerings. So the answer would be AutoML. Let's move to the next question. The data science team has successfully trained a sentiment analysis model. Now they need to make this model available via an API so that other applications within their organization can send text snippets to it and receive sentiment predictions. Which stage of the machine learning lifecycle primarily involves this process of making the trained model accessible for use? So the question is, which stage of the machine learning lifecycle primarily involves process of making the trained model accessible for use. So once the model is deployed, then only it can be used. So model deployment should be the answer. Let's move to the next question. A large enterprise uses Google Workspace for collaboration, Google Cloud for its infrastructure and data analytics, and is now looking to infuse generative AI capabilities across this existing investment. They want cohesive experience where AI tools can seamlessly leverage data from BigQuery to inform content generated in the Google Docs or automated tasks. Which aspect of the Google Cloud's AI strategy is most advantageous for the enterprises? I think the integration of generative AI across the Google's existing product and service and creating a comprehensive ecosystem, because what they want is Google Cloud for its infrastructure and data is now looking to infuse Gen AI capabilities across their investments. So they want an integrated environment. I'm not sure of this, but seems like this is the answer. Yeah, this is the answer. Let's look at the explanation. The Google strategy of integrating the generative AI across its ecosystem provides a cohesive experience and allows enterprises to leverage AI with their existing data and workflows. A machine learning engineer is a training a model to automatically categorize news articles into predefined topics like sports, politics, and technology. To do this, they have a data set where each article has already been assigned one of this topic. Which type of data is the engineer primarily using? Since uh, the data have been manually assigned the topics, it's a label data, not unlabeled data, not structured data. So let's check the answer. It's correct and it's self-explanatory. Okay, we have reached the halfway of the question. A developer is trying to get a large language model to solve a multi-step math word problem. Initial simple prompts yield incorrect answers. The developer then modifies the prompt to include an example of how to break down a similar problem into a intermediate reasoning steps before arriving at the final answer, explicitly showing the thought process. Which advanced prompting technique is being employed here? So a developer is trying to get LLM to solve a multi-step math word problem. A simple prompt yield correct answers. The developer then modifies the prompt to include an example. As we saw that if this seems like few shot prompting or chain of thought prompting. Let's see the answer. So this is a chain of thought prompting. LLMs to generate intermediate reasoning steps, which is particularly helpful for complex tasks like multi-step arithmetic or symbolic reasoning. Since an intermediate reasoning steps is involved, the answer would be chain of thought prompting. Otherwise, it's an example of few shot prompting. All right, we got two wrong questions. Hopefully, we shouldn't get more. Let's move to the next question. A employee at a large consulting firm spends a significant amount of time summarizing long meeting transcript from Google Meet and drafting follow-up emails in Gmail. They are looking for a way to automate this task directly within their Google Workspace tools to improve productivity, which Google Cloud pre-built Gen AI offerings would directly address this need. So the requirement is to automate summarization task, and they are using a Google Workspace. So I think adding a Gemini to the Google Workspace should do the job. The next question, the company is launching a generative AI initiative to create personalized content for its global customer base. Their existing customer data is stored across multiple legacy systems, is often inconsistent and has many missing fields. Before they can effectively use this data to train personalization model, what is the most critical initial challenge related to the data? So their data is not consistent right now, so they need to ensure that they have a high quality data and it's accessible. Since it's stored across multiple legacy system, the data needs to be refined and collected before. So this is the problem that they have right now, and it's correct. It's self-explanatory as well. Let's move to the next question. Question 28. A city council is deploying a generative AI system to help allocate public resources based on analyzing citizen request and demographic data. To ensure public trust and adoption, it's crucial that decision making process of the AI is understandable and that the system operates fairly. Which principle of the responsible AI is most directly addressed by making the AI's reasoning process as clear as possible to stakeholders? Which principle of responsible AI is most directly addressed by making the AI's reasoning process as clear as possible to stakeholders? I think maintaining a transparency, if an AI model can maintain a transparency, it would be more trustable amongst the stakeholders to ensure that an AI model can be used in a city council. So transparency should be the answer. Yeah. All right. So we have reached 28 questions. 12 more to go. Let's do it quickly. Question number 29. A customer service chatbot built with a generic large language model sometimes provides inaccurate information about the company's specific written policies. To address this, the company decides to integrate the chatbot with its internal up to date database of company policies. The process of connecting LLM responses to the company's own verified information source is an example of grounding, which is true. With what type of data? Since it's a enterprise data, it's not a third party data, it's not an unstructured public data or world data, so the by default the option should be first party enterprise data. And yeah, grounding with the chatbot internal policy means it's using the company's own proprietary information, which is obviously a first party enterprise data. All right. uh, Question number 30. A startup is building a novel generative AI application that creates personalized travel itineraries. They plan to use a powerful pre trained language model from a cloud provider, integrate it with various travel APIs for real time data, and then develop a user friendly mobile app for customers to interact with. In generative AI landscape, which layer represents the pre trained language model they will leverage? Okay, so they have developed an mobile application, but the question is about which layer represents the pre-trained language model. So I think the models, we have already seen this kind of question, and we have gone through what is infrastructure, models, application, and platforms. So, yeah, the similar question was encountered previously as well. Question number 31. A startup is developing an application that allow users to type a short story plot, and application then generates a unique, coherent and contextually relevant oil painting visualizing a key scene from that plot. Which specific type of generative AI model is most likely at the core of the image creation capability? So, diffusion model, right? Diffusion model is the model, and we have seen that image gen is an Google Cloud's diffusion model that is good at creating the image from text. So this should be the answer. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question. Question number 32. A research institution is embarking on a project that requires training extremely large and complex generative AI models. They anticipate needing massive computational power specifically optimized for machine learning workloads to accelerate the training process and reduce cost. Which component of the Google Cloud's AI optimized infrastructure is custom designed by Google to provide this type of specialized acceleration for ML task? So the answer for this is tensor processing unit. If you go through the course of generative AI leader, uh, you would find that Google has a tensor processing unit, a specialized computational power for accelerating the ML task. We can go to the explanation and see. See, it's custom designed ASICs, CPU specifically built to accelerate the machine learning workloads. So it's a special offerings under Google Cloud for the ML task. All right, let's move to the next question. A developer is using a generative AI model to create concise summaries of legal documents. It's crucial that the summaries are factual and stick closely to the information presented in the source document, avoiding speculative or overly creative interpretations. Which sampling parameter should be set to a lower value to encourage more deterministic and focused output? As we saw, the temperature, with the temperature the model tends to be more creative and riskier in terms of generating the output, but it needs to be deterministic and focused. The same parameter needs to be lower down. So temperature, right, is the right answer. Let's move to the next question. A retail company wants to build a sophisticated conversational AI agent for their website that can handle complex customer inquiries, guide users through product selection, and integrate with their inventory system. They are looking for a Google Cloud tool that simplifies the creation, deployment, and management of such custom agents, providing a comprehensive development environment. Which Google Cloud offering is specifically designed for building this type of custom enterprise grade generative agents? Um Vertex AI has the offering to build the generative agents, and this should be the answer. So Vertex AI agent builder platform has the capability. All right, let's move to the 35 question. Question number 35. A retail company is exploring an AI solution to improve customer engagement. They are particularly interested in a technology that can learn from vast amount of unlabeled customer interaction data like chat logs to identify underlying without which machine learning approach best fits. Since it's an unlabeled data, uh, unsupervised learning would be helpful, and we have already seen what this terms mean. And all right, this is the correct. Let's move to the next question. An online retailer wants to significantly improve the product discovery experience on their e-commerce website. They aim to provide customers with highly relevant search results even for complex or vaguely worded queries and offer a personalized recommendation. They need an enterprise grade solution that can customize their product catalog and user data. Which Google Cloud offerings is designed to power this kind of advanced search and recommendation capabilities. So as I mentioned previously, the Vertex AI search is capable of providing the enterprise grade search capabilities uh, on top of the models that are trained for the enterprise from the enterprise data. So Vertex AI search is the answer. Let's quickly go through the explanation. Is the enterprise grade customizable search and recommendation experiences for website and applications. All right, so this seems right. Let's move to the next question. A media company wants to use a foundational model to generate short video clips from a text descriptions of social media. Which select when selecting a foundational model, which of the following characteristics would be the most critical initial consideration for a specific use case? So they are choosy on selecting a foundational model uh, of the following characteristics. I think modality, the type of data the model can process and generate. Company you wants to use a foundational model, so they are, so they need to evaluate the model. So modality should be the answer. Right, this is right. Question number 38. So we have a healthcare provider who is implementing a generative AI model to assist doctors with summarizing the patient records. At which stage of ML lifecycle is most critical to implement robust data de-identification and access control measures to safeguard this sensitive information? I think this would be an continuous process. So throughout the entire ML life cycle, from data preparation, data ingestion, to model training, model deployment, then model management, you need to implement a robust data de-identification and access control measures. So this should be the answer. It should be a continuous consideration throughout the entire ML life cycle, not just at once. Question number 39. A company wants to quickly build a chatbot that can answer employee questions based on large repository of internal HR policy documents. They want the chatbot to provide answers grounded in these documents to ensure accuracy and avoid making things up. They prefer a solution that minimizes complex setup and leverages Google's search capabilities. Which Google Cloud offerings would be most suitable for rapidly implementing this RAG based chatbot? So they are not interested in a complex setup. So within the Vertex AI, we the Google has the r- capability of random augmentation generation, and they should use that. All right, question number 40. 10 more to go after this. A marketing team is overwhelmed with manually analyzing the customer feedback from surveys, social media, support tickets to identify key themes and sentiments. They are looking for a solution that can process this vast amount of text data and provide concise overviews of common issues and positive feedback. Which generative AI capability would be most beneficial for them? So they are looking for summarizing the feedbacks from the various sources. So Gen AI capability of text summarization should be helpful, and it's correct. Let's quickly solve the next 10 questions. So, 41st question. A healthcare organization is building a generative AI application using Google Cloud that will process sensitive patient data. A key requirement for them is to maintain strict control over the data, ensuring it's not used to train Google's general foundation models, and that they can manage data residency and access permission according to their compliance needs. Which aspect of the Google Cloud's AI platform directly addresses this need for data control and privacy? Which aspect of the Google Cloud's AI platform directly address the need for data control and privacy? So I think the very first option, the Google Cloud's commitment to not using customer data and enterprise services to train its general model without the explicit consent, along with the robust security and governance, would maintain the compliance. All right, we have next question. A research team needs to analyze and synthesize information from a large collection of complex PDF research papers and internal documents. They want an AI powered tool that can act as a virtual research assistant, allowing them to ask questions about the documents, get summaries, and generate new ideas based on the grounded information within those specific resources. Which Google Cloud offering is specifically designed to address this type of source grounded reasoning and analysis over user uploaded document? So Notebook LLM is a research assistant tool which can read from the document that is provided, and generate the responses based on the documents or links that fed it to it. So Notebook LLM is the offering, Google's offering, that would be helpful here. Let's move to the next question. A company is building a generative AI agent that needs to understand spoken customer inquiries, process the request, and then respond verbally. The agent will also need to analyze the sentiment of the customer's spoken words to tailor its response style. Which combination of Google Cloud AI APIs would be most beneficial for this agent's core functionality? So they need something that translates the spoken customer voices to a text and then do the analysis, and after doing the analysis it should respond back in the similar fashion like a spoken word. So speech to text, natural language API, and then text to speech API should be the answer. Question number 44. A data science team wants to experiment with various state of the art foundational models, including Google's own models and popular open source options, for a new sentiment analysis project. They need a centralized place within Google Cloud to easily discover, access, and deploy these pre trained models without significant setup overhead. Which feature of the Vertex AI platform would best serve this purpose? So we have seen that Model Garden serve as a centralized place where all the models are listed, and you can discover, access, and deploy these pre-trained models within the Google Cloud Vertex AI platform. So Model Garden is the answer. So, question number 45. A financial services company has gathered extensive raw transactional data. The team needs to clean this data, handle missing values, and transform into a suitable format. Which stage of the machine learning life cycle does the activity? So, it's Before ingestion, data preparation should be the answer, and it's self-explanatory as well. Question number 46. A company is developing a generative AI powered customer service chatbot. After initial deployment, they noticed the chatbot different frequently provides the answers that, while grammatically correct, are not pertinent to the customer specific queries about the new product line. The chatbot was trained on a vast dataset of general customer service interactions from last 5 years, but this dataset has minimal information of the recent product. So the data that the model have right now is not relevant, hence it's not able to answer. So the model is lacking relevancy. This should be the answer. Let's move to the next question. Question 47. A bank uses a generative AI model to assess the loan applications. A customer whose loan application was denied by the AI system request a clear reason for the decisions. For the bank to maintain a customer trust and comply with the potential regulations, it's important that the AI system decision making process can be understood and its output should be justified. Which two principles of responsible AI are most directly relevant to this situation? So the customer needs a clear reason for the decisions of acceptance or rejection. So the answer should be accountability and explainability. Uh, the accountability the accountability refers to the attributes that made model to take the certain decisions, and explainability is explaining those attributes or decision making process. So these two principles mostly direct to this situation, and let's check the answer and explanation as well. So accountability means there are mechanisms to attribute responsibility for the AI decisions, and explaining means the AI's decision can be understood by humans. Both are crucial when an AI makes an impactful decisions like loan denials. All right, so it is in line with our explanation. Let's move to the next question. A retail company wants to improve its customer service by providing 24 by 7 support through a chatbot that can handle common queries and also empower its human agents with the real time suggestions and relevant information during live calls. They want to analyze call transcripts to understand common customer pain points with suite of Google Cloud offerings. So Google has this called CCAS and CC API, which is uh, which are the offerings relevant to the conversational agent or customer contact as a service. So Google have this customer engagement suite which takes care of customer queries via chatbot, via phone calls. So let's read through the explanation as well. So Google's customer engagement suite provides a set of tools designed to enhance the customer interactions, which includes the chatbots, conversational agent, support for human agent, and analytics. So there are several offerings like CCAAS, CCAI Platform Agent Assist, and CX Insights, which directly addresses the company needs of conversational agent for 24 by 7 chatbot, etc. All right, last two questions. A financial advisory firm uses a generative AI model to draft investment recommendation for clients to ensure accuracy and compliance. All AI generated draft must be reviewed and approved by a certified financial advisor before being sent to client. The process of incorporating expert human oversights into the AI workflow is an example of which recommended practice. So having a human in between of the AI workflow is called the human in the loop, where the human experts review and validate the AI generated output. So yeah, human in the loop. So last question. A software development company wants to integrate an advanced AI model into its IDE to assist developers with the task like code completion, complex explaining complex code, etc. They need a model that is highly capable of doing this. So which Google foundation model would be helpful in this? So it's definitely Gemini, because VO is for video generation, Imagen is mostly for text generation, and let's check the answer. So Gemini is the correct, and Gemma is offers the developer user-friendly customized solution for local deployments and specialized AI applications. So none of them were aligned with the questions requirement of code completion. All right, let's see how many. So we got two incorrect, and so that's how the question would be for a generative AI leader certification. There are exam guides available on the cloud.google.com itself. If you want, you can prefer prefer the Google provided resources only. Uh, this Udemy course is an extra or extra learning, or the cherry on the top of your preparation for the exams. All right, so we have seen one of the practice exam. uh, there are 6 practice exam. I'll go through each of them, and hopefully we'll create more video sessions of all the practice sessions that could be helpful to you guys. Okay, we'll conclude our video over here, and